Hey everyone, this is Caleb. Welcome back to the channel. I would like to say, first of all, this video itself just seems kind of ridiculous to think about because the Switch is doing so well, right? So how could the next console possibly fail? And the obvious answer is the Wii U. Nintendo's not invincible. The Wii was such a great success. It was the most successful console up to that point, assuming you don't count handhelds, because like the DS and the Game Boy sold, well, not the Game Boy, but the DS at least sold more than the Wii. But the the Wii U dropped off significantly. So technically, it's possible. I think Nintendo probably has learned their lesson. They're not going to rock the boat too hard next time. However, there is some concerns we might have to look into if we are going to go into the next console here, especially soon. Some people think it's 2024. Me personally, I think 2025 makes more sense just based on the number of games and things like this. I can get into a video next time if you want to talk about that. But anyway, just moving straight into the topics here. So why could the Switch be doomed to fail? Well, obviously, the Switch sales are so high, so the expectations for a Switch 2 and how that would perform are extremely sort of insurmountable almost, because the Switch is already doing so well. It is the best-selling Nintendo console outside the DS so far, and it's possible it becomes the best-selling console of all time. There's still time and room for that. I think it would be very difficult to surpass the PS2 and the DS. The DS, people say like PS2 is like the greatest thing, which obviously in terms of sales it is. The DS is only like 1 million units away, so it's not even, they're basically the same. But point is, the sales numbers for Switch are like at 130 million or somewhere around there. It's pretty ridiculous, honestly. So it would be hard to reach it, but point is, the expectations are so high at this point. I mean, what can you really do? Anything else would have to either be the best-selling console of all time, basically, or it would have to sell worse than the Switch. So these are basically the only two options for the next console. So is this even possible for them to pull off? That's what I gotta ask, right? And a few games, for instance, like, for example, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is obviously the most content we've ever had in any Mario Kart game, right? Where do you even go from here? Right? And like, they added a ton of new tracks. They added, in total, it's going to be almost 100 tracks after the booster course pass and everything is finished. Where do you go from here? With the next Mario Kart game, Mario Kart 9, or if you count Tours 9, then Mario Kart 10, Mario Kart X. Well, like, where do you go from here? There's already so much in that game, and it controls very well. The graphics are incredible, right? Obviously for, the console it's on. It seems like it peaked, just like Smash Ultimate, also very similar. I can't see a scenario in which Nintendo somehow one-ups Smash Ultimate, unless they just release a deluxe version of that. But even then, it would still be hard to get the licenses and stuff for that game again. I can't really think... It would have to be a reboot, right? But at that point, how exciting would it be? And the same thing sort of applies to Splatoon 3 as well. Splatoon 3 is... And of course, I'm pointing out like the big multiplayer games here, like, first of all. But Splatoon 3 as well is like the ultimate Splatoon game. Now, you can argue about which game, plays better or whatever, but Splatoon 3 has the most content of any of the games so far. So, again, similar situation, though in that case it's a little bit less so compared to Smash and Mario Kart, but you get the point, right? But also, the question then remains, okay, well, besides those games, I don't even know if you can beat Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Smash Ultimate. What else could you do? You have to have some sort of exciting game at launch, right? Or just in general. I mean, what else could you do? Zelda obviously is not going to be at launch if the console's coming out soon, because they just released the game this year. The only thing they could do maybe is like a Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom like enhanced port, but even then, that's not like a new game, right? So, and they're obviously not going to have a Zelda game ready, like a new one ready for years from now, unless you want to do like Wind Waker or something like that. But that's not going to be like exciting. And I don't think they would completely remake the game from the ground up. That would just be Wind Waker HD, right? So, obviously, it's not going to be Zelda. And I don't think it's going to be Metroid. I know some people have said Metroid Prime 4 could be a Switch 2 launch title, and it very well could be. I personally think, though, it's still going to be just on Switch 1. If it does, it's going to be a dual release. and if it is a dual release, it would be different than Breath of the Wild was on Wii U because nobody owned a Wii U. But 130 people own a Switch. So if you have a dual release, and obviously consoles, sell out very quickly when they first come out, it's gonna... Even though the Switch 2 is like a brand new thing, I feel like a lot of people would just say, oh, I'm fine with the regular Switch. I don't need to buy a Switch 2 to play this Metroid game, which, by the way, Metroid games historically don't sell that well anyway. People like to bring it up like it's one of the big main Nintendo franchises. It really isn't. Especially so having that have a dual release, I don't know if that's going to push units that much. So I guess the only thing I can really think of would be like a 3D Mario game, which it has been a while, obviously. So and the 3D Mario makes sense. But I don't know what else they would do, to be honest. How do you even compete with that? And even then, Odyssey launched in 2017 in the first year of the Switch. So how do you even compare the two? Because the Switch is already so successful. And if you count, okay, there's not going to be a Zelda game. Metroid isn't a big seller. Mario Kart, you would have to have a brand new game for that. And I mean, it's possible they have a brand new game, but even then, I don't know if it could even surpass Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at this point. But it's just because of how much content is in that game. And like I said, the sales of the Switch are so astronomically large that it'd be ridiculous to even try to surpass it. And I should point out by saying, I don't think the Switch 2 is going to fail. I don't think it's going to be a flop like the Wii U, but I am saying I don't even know if it could reach Switch levels, let alone surpass it. Right? So, is it doomed to fail? Not really, but I don't think it's set up very well in such a way that it could surpass the Switch. I don't really think that's probable. It's unlikely. Plus, another thing to keep in mind, obviously, yes, the Switch 2 could just be a more powerful Switch, basically like how, PS3 and then PS4 is, but Nintendo usually likes to do some sort of new gimmick, at least more recently. In their most recent systems, they've all had a gimmick. The DS had 2 screens, the 3DS added 3D to that, and obviously the DSi had cameras, but that was like a mid-gen refresh. So those had new gimmicks. The Wii obviously was a new gimmick, although how recent is the Wii is more than 15 years old. We're getting old. Point is, and the Wii U also had a gimmick. So everything up to now has had a new gimmick. So what would the new gimmick be for Switch? I was talking to my friend Bo, and he said that he thinks it could be dual screen. That would be a cool gimmick. I think that would be cool. And of course, it would basically just be a DS in handheld mode, and then it'd be a Wii U in docked mode. So that would be interesting in order to do that, but obviously I don't think the Wii U's concept itself was a failure. So this could technically be successful if it did a similar concept, although actually being fully portable, unlike the Wii U. But it's just, I'm not really sure how they could make it super hyped up, more so or as much as the Switch. It would be a very great challenge for them to accomplish. Another thing to keep in mind is the economy is not doing super well right now, and I'm not gonna mention certain specific world events, but there could be some things that happen in the future that make it potentially worse and more difficult to buy new expensive technology. But I don't really know how much that would affect the Switch. Obviously, if certain events occur, related to, microchips and things like that, if you know, I don't think that definitely wouldn't help, I'll tell you that, as far as supply goes anyway. And plus, the price of that would increase. So, I mean, the price of everything is increasing. But I'm not really sure how well the Switch could even do in comparison to anything else. Especially, the original Switch. It's got an uphill battle, is basically my point. Is it doomed to fail? Like I said, it's unlikely that it's going to flop, but I don't think it's going to surpass the Switch. That's my take. Of course, Nintendo surprises us. Maybe they're going to do something incredible, but that remains to be seen. I hope there's something really great and exciting at launch. I hope they can have stock, unlike they had with the original Switch, and of course the PS5 had that issue as well.
But well, I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I like reading comments. I don't really get that many because I'm a small channel, but it'd be great. Just give me your opinion, and I'll probably respond. And yeah, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.